Welcome back to Jalen Bio, and today's module is on cell signaling. The plasma membrane plays a significant role in communication between cells, in addition to serving as its boundary, functioning in transport, and establishing a charge difference, or what we call membrane potential. There are three types of cell signaling that we describe in human physiology. Autocrine, which is when the soluble chemical signal is secreted by and binds to the same cell. Paracrine is when the signal is received by nearby cells. And endocrine, which is when the signal is received by a distant cell, most related to hormone. Types of cell signaling. Metabotropic receptor signaling. Ligands bind to other cell receptor sites and typically come in the form of either a neurotransmitter or hormones. Ligands can bind to one of three types of sites. We have channel link receptors, enzymatic receptors, and we can have G proteins. G protein, when a signal molecule binds to the receptor, it's going to relay a signal in the form of transduction. This can then lead to phosphorylation of other enzymes or turning on other kinds of molecular switches, which will eventually turn on the cell's response. This was most likely going to result in a release of a protein. The channel link receptors are chemically gated channels. These ones allow the passage of an ion into or out of the cell. Enzymatic receptors functions as a kinase enzyme and binds with the ligand and activate phosphorylation. And then the G protein coupled receptors, also kinase enzymes, will bind to a ligand and activate and release a G protein, which will then bind to GTP, a nucleotide, which will then attach to another part of an effector protein and then cascade a series of switches inside the cell. Ionotropic receptor signaling. Ionotropic receptors are ligand-gated membrane channel proteins that will change conformation whenever the ligand binds to the receptor. For example, when this red signal binds to the receptor, it's going to then change the way the channel works, allowing the door to open up. That will then facilitate a rapid cellular response when these ions flow into the cell. This will then change the charge of the outside of the membrane versus the charge on the inside of the cell. Nuclear receptor signaling. Some hormones that are steroid-based, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, can cross the cell membrane via simple diffusion. They will then bind onto nuclear receptors found inside the cytoplasm and translocate into the nucleus and bind onto DNA directly. It targets regions called the hormone response element, which will then increase the ability for the gene to be read, as a result, upregulating transcription and translation to make more protein for the cell. This is probably the most direct way that a hormone can affect the cell.